I'll call this meeting to order. I'm the vice mayor, Wes Ayers, and I'll be running the show for today. Johnny has so graciously said that he would do our prayer for us, and Johnny?
Would you bow your head with me, please? Our Father in heaven, again, we come, Father, at an hour that we need your help. We ask that you'll look in on this meeting today, Father. Let us agree to disagree. But, Father, keep us all in your care. And remember our fallen comrades that's in harm's way. And we thank you for this day, Father, and go with us throughout the day. May you continue to bless and keep us. Thank you. Amen.
Amen.
All right, and we'll say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next is the approval of the council agenda. Can I get a?
I so moved.
All right.
Second the motion.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Larry has asked to speak. We'll let him do that.
I forgot to put the city manager's update on there.
Okay.
I'd just like to thank all of, the citizens of Tifton and staff and council, for your prayers and, cards and phone calls, while I was out, under the weather, if you will. And, I would really like to thank staff. They have done a wonderful job. It just goes to show that just because one person drops out of the picture, that the staff can keep everything going. Ron, Jessica, thank you so much. On a different note, wasn't it a great weekend?
Yes.
Rhythm and ribs were, and here again, Jessica's out front on this thing. All of the OMG marketing people and the Tourism Association, it turned out great. Couldn't have asked for a better event. Couldn't have asked for better weather. And thanks to everyone involved. I know when you start naming names, you're bound to forget someone, but it was really a great event. And thank you so much for everything.
Sir, that was a great weekend. All right, next we have swearing in Miss Dina Willis to the Tifton Housing Authority. Ms. Willis, if you'll come down front. I will swear you in. Ms. Willis, you raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear and affirm I will faithfully and impartially perform the duties as member of the Tifton Housing Authority and City of Tifton, and that I will support and defend the charter of the City of Tifton, as well as the Constitution and laws of the United States and the state of Georgia. I shall attend all meetings of the body to which I have been appointed unless provided hindered. I shall abide by the standards for conflict of interest adopted by the City Council and the rules disclosure applicable thereto. Unless disqualified by the standards of the conflicts of interest, I shall actively participate in all decisions of the body to which I have been appointed. I shall attend the city expense and training mandated by the state of Georgia, and shall also attend as scheduled any special training arranged by the city of Tifton. Do you solemnly swear or affirm?
Yes, I do.
Congratulations.
Mr. Eller said her Newman will not be here tonight. She had something come up.
Okay.
And also the presentation by Eve Futch,
Uh-huh.
she has postponed that item.
All right, well then that brings us to our citizen input. We do have a name on the list, Mr. Terrell Halliburton. If you'll please come up, state your name and address.
Yes, my name is Terrell Halliburton, and my address is 304 South College Avenue.
And I hate that the mayor is not here because one of the things that I wanted to do, I guess maybe I'm right in saying she's our first female mayor for Tifton,
Yes.
for the city of Tifton.
Yes.
Well, I would congratulate her for being our first mayor, but as a citizen, I'm asking y'all as a council, and maybe y'all can look into seeing how, all of the citizens of Tifton come under a mayor. And it's kind of disheartening to come to an election and they say that you cannot vote for your mayor. Because when there's an issue in the city and you vote for your mayor, you feel more comfortable going and talking to your mayor about an issue. But if you can't even vote for your mayor, you know, it's kind of a disconnection there. So maybe that's something that y'all could dialogue, or maybe the elections board for the city of Tifton can see, because I think all citizens should be able to vote for their mayor, because the mayor is the mayor for all citizens, whether you in whatever district or the city or the county.
All right.
I believe you can vote.
You can vote.
It's
Yeah.
open for
You can.
all citizens.
If you're in
As
the
long
city.
as you live in the
If you're in the
city
city
limits.
limits, you can.
If you live in the county, is that just still your mayor of Tifton?
No.
Because you live in the county?
No.
Well, who's your mayor in the county?
That's
If
the
the county
county
doesn't have
chairman.
a mayor.
That'd be Grady Thompson.
Chairman of the Board of Commissioners
Yes.
is who heads up the county, such as, you know, like the mayor does of the city. So if you live in the county, you don't vote for the mayor.
I
You vote-
know, and that's the question I'm saying. If people ask me where I live, and I tell them I live in Tifton, but I don't live in the city of Tifton, and they ask me who our mayor, I have to name the mayor. So even if you live in the county, you should be able to vote for your mayor. Everybody should be able to vote for their mayor. And I know it might be an issue for the way that we have it set up, but that might be something that need to be visited. And probably a lot of people wanted to ask that question, but didn't know how to ask that question.
I think that's from the state level.
Rob, can you help explain?
Well, sure, it's
Okay.
basically state law.
Right.
I mean, in order for you
It's
to,
different for the political subdivision.
that's right, in order for you to be able to vote for someone in the city of Tifton, which is a political subdivision, then you have to be a resident. Just like if you want to vote for somebody running for Georgia Senate, you've got to be a resident of the state. So you have the county, you have the city, and you have the state. And so according to the laws of the state of Georgia, in order for you to vote within that jurisdiction, you have to be a resident of that jurisdiction. So that's not anything that the city does. It's basically state law that requires residency for you to vote in certain elections.
Okay, I understand that, but still, when you come back to a city, it's hard pressed to tell some of your citizens, because your property happened to be in the county, that you can't vote for the mayor. I don't know how we can resolve that, but it's something that I think need to be
Well,
at least discussed among the citizens, because if you talk to people who live in the county, they'll tell you that they want to vote for their mayor also.
we would love for all of the property that's not currently in the city limits to annex in, and they would be able to vote in our elections. As a citizen of Tift County, you are able to vote in all county elections, countywide elections for your chairman, and then your district representative, depending on what district you live in, your district representative for county commission. But unfortunately, any of our ordinances, if you live outside of the city limits, do not actually apply to you. So, you know, some people see that as a good thing, some people see that as a bad thing. Apparently, you wish that, you know, you were able to have a little bit more voice in the city matters, but, you know, thank you for your concern.
304 South College Avenue.
So you're in the city limits.
Yeah, but I know a lot of people that's not,
Okay.
that have had that conversation with me. And I came to ask because people really want to ask, but I guess most people don't feel comfortable speaking in public. So they want to know an answer to a question, and as a citizen, you should feel comfortable enough to come and ask. And if they were able to vote for their mayor, they probably would be standing here saying whatever that they need to say to their mayor, but people in the county feel disconnected.
We need to get them annexed into the city so they can vote for the mayor.
Now, you, being in the city limits, you have the right to vote for your mayor.
I know, but there's a whole lot of people who don't.
Right,
I just wanted to make sure, I didn't know if
Right.
you had said that you didn't vote or you didn't get to vote or whatever, but yeah, you are a citizen of the, within our guideline, or within our, city limits, you're able to vote for whoever, I mean, not for whoever, but whoever the
For
mayor
the
is and
mayor,
whoever your
right.
district representative.
Well, the way they told me that you have to vote is even if you live in the city, if you're not in the district where the mayor's running, you can't vote. I think that's the way they explained it.
It's
Is that
not.
not
The
true?
mayor is, all district-wide. Now, only your district representative are you able to vote for when it, you know, like who, what district? He be in District 2?
3.
District 3?
Yeah,
That's, yeah, okay, so you, Johnny, that's
that's
you.
my
Yeah.
district.
All right, so you would get to vote for Johnny or whoever the opponent was in his election. Now, mayoral, you would be able to vote for whoever you choose to, or whoever in that area.
All right, so that answers my question. At least people that wanted answers for that will get to know why they can't vote for them. I ain't saying they'll be satisfied with it.
Sure.
But I guess the next question I want to ask, and this is a question, because I was quite disappointed, and I know that it was a big event for Tifton, but I want to ask the question about drinking in the park. Is it legal to drink in the park?
It is for that. It is for that, that event, yes, sir.
Okay, and that's, I wanted to ask you that question because I didn't know. But my next statement to you is when you have an event like that and they have alcohol in the park on a Saturday, what happens when somebody feel like they can drink in the park on Monday because they saw people drinking in the park on Saturday? Then you kind of got an issue because you're gonna have some citizens who feel like, well, I drank in the park on Saturday, so I can come back next week and drink. It's kind of a hard-pressed issue to say that for a certain event, you can do a certain thing, and then normal law says that you can't do it. So it's probably gonna come up, and somebody's gonna get cited for drinking in the park, and that's gonna be their defense. That I came to an event and I was able to drink in the park, so why can't I drink in the park on my own?
Sure. Rob, will you want to answer Mr. Terrell's question?
Yeah.
No problem.
Okay.
Basically, what we have are special events where you can sell alcohol, at the park, but only, certain people can sell. And you cannot bring alcohol into the park because they call that brown bagging. So, according to our ordinances, we can have a special event that does allow alcohol sales by certain people who are licensed to sell, but only for that particular event. It's a one-day
Yes,
permit. So, there may be some folks that may come out there and maybe drinking on Monday, think it was okay because they did it on Saturday, but it's not. And that would be up, up to the, the police to enforce, maybe give a warning, I don't know. But basically, our ordinances do provide for certain one-day permits where alcohol can be sold at certain locations. And of course, it's just good for that one day for special events, such as Rhythm and Ribs, and every once in a while we'll have an event downtown that will also have a one-day permit.
So let me ask you this question. Have you had any other citizens that was concerned about that? About the one-day permit? Nobody even asked? I mean, I know, I'm standing here asking the questions, but I know a lot of people are concerned because Fullwood Park, from what I understand, is one of our first established places in Tifton, and it's always been no drinking in the park now. And then all of a sudden, there's people drinking in the park. So I know some people want to ask this question, and they'll probably be listening to get this answer. So I'm just asking a question that I know probably a whole lot of other concerned citizens might want to ask. But
I'm looking at the police chief over here, and, this is the first issue that we've had, or you're the first person that's asked any questions about drinking in the park,
let me tell
as far
you,
as we know.
let me tell you about your citizens of Tifton.
Okay.
They want to know a lot of things, but they don't have the gumption to come and stand and look at you and ask the question why. And as citizens, they should come and ask if it's something that they want to know. But of course, everybody don't have that. So that's why I said I wanted to ask the question and I wanted to get the answer because a lot of people are going to be listening who really wanted the answer to both of these questions that I asked tonight. And I thank y'all for indulging me. And y'all can tell the mayor for me that I said congratulations on her election, and I hope she served proudly, and I hope she do a wonderful job. And I hope some citizens who are really concerned about some things now will understand that they can come and stand and ask about things that go on in their city, rather than stand back and murmur and say they just let certain people do what they want to do.
Right.
So,
Mr. Halliburton, I wish you go back and tell anybody that if anybody ever has any questions, they don't necessarily have to come in here and voice them. Our phone numbers and emails are in the Tifton Gazette. They post every time the paper comes out. They can feel free to call us, email us. If they don't feel like coming up here or talking to one of us, they can come up here and talk with Larry and voice those concerns, because we want to hear. You know, we want to know these things. So,
all right, and I thank y'all for indulging me.
all right,
Thank you.
All right, next is the approval of the minutes of January 21st, 2016, the workshop call meeting minutes, January 24th, council retreat minutes, February 1st, regular meeting minutes, and February 18th, workshop minutes. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. Any conversation? I don't hear any. All in favor say aye. Aye. That passed unanimous. All right, next is a list of things on our consent agenda, which we've already discussed through a workshop. I'll ask the council if any of the consent agenda items they would like to remove and discuss individually. If everyone's okay, I will accept the motion.
I so move. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. That is unanimous. All right. Other business, appointment to the signage committee. And I don't see one.
There's a.
I think we had, HPC did make a nomination, didn't they?
Did they?
It is in your packet.
Oh.
Let me look real quick for you. The appointees were to include Councilman Sales, Historic Preservation Commission member Jeffrey Daniel, Larry Reiner, and Houston Schultz.
All right. On that, do we need to make a motion or just, what, do we need to make the motion on it?
I believe you should appoint him, Vice Mayor.
Just appoint them?
Just appoint him.
All right. You guys are on the signage committee. Congratulations. All right, next is discussion, what?
I think that makes it official.
Makes it official right there, exactly.
Sound official.
Yeah, yeah. Discussion and approval of salary rate market adjustments. Larry?
I'm gonna start this very briefly, and then I'm gonna let Ms. Love take over. You may recall back in April of 2015, almost a year ago, at a retreat, we discussed making a market rate adjustment for all of the employees of the city of Tifton. And then again, at the, in the budget process for FY16, was discussed again, and we decided that if the money was available in January of 2016, when we do budget revision typically, then we would address the issue at the time. Primarily, we were waiting to make sure that we had the money to cover the cost of any increases that may or may not occur. And that's all dependent upon council approval. The short answer is, yes, we can afford to make the market adjustments we discussed, and the longer answer, I'm gonna let Ms. Love explain it to you.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Reiner. Good afternoon.
Speak up.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Is the mic working?
It's on.
It's on? Okay. I'll pick it up, and then I won't have to talk so loud. I don't know how to take it out. There you go. Okay. Mr. Dowdy and Mr. Coleman, Chief Dowdy and Chief Coleman also provided the amount of the salary required for these market adjustments for the Public Safety Department, and we've determined that are asking you to go ahead with approval of these adjustments. We in finance added the benefits to those adjustments, and it gave us a total of $312,500 that is needed to implement the market adjustments for public safety. We've determined that there is about $180,000 that will be required in 16, and the full amount will be required in fiscal year 17.
We have
This will,
copies. We have copies of it.
yes. This will increase the starting pay for officers and firefighters to $16 per hour, which is the current market rate, and sergeants to $17 per hour, and lieutenants to $19 per hour. Once we had the required amount that we needed, we went back, and of course we are in the middle of budget revision, and we looked at all of our revenue sources for general fund to determine if there was any overages or increases in our revenues based on our projection at the beginning of the year. And we determined that there was about a total of $344,000 increase in revenues over our original projections. That was in franchise fees, electrical franchise fees, insurance premium tax, our property tax not on the digest, and some other miscellaneous sales and donations that made up that number. We also adjusted our fire protection revenues from Tift County per our IGA with Tift County, up $107,000 from the original projections. And if you remember or recall, the original projections were projected back in last year, so in April, May of the previous year, so we did not have all of our numbers in at that time. We also have adjusted a decrease in our revenues because of our motor vehicle ad valorem and TAF tax based on the current trend, and the state reduced that tax by 5% effective 1/1/16. Our local option sales tax is coming in a little bit lower than projected, around $150,000. Our building permits and inspection fees, and of course some of our school board reimbursement that utilizes our police staff, and some of our traffic and other fines are coming in a little bit lower than anticipated. So the net revenue decrease is around $50,000, a little over $50,000. We also looked at our expenditures, and we made some adjustments there. Our public safety personnel market adjustment netted to about $30,000, and that's because we were able to utilize the contingency that was set aside for that purpose, and also reduce some capital replacements, and also delay some capital improvements that where the situation had changed and it wasn't needed in 16, and we could delay it to 17. That is basically how we balance the budget. We did go on and look forward for the full amount in 17, and some of the revenues that we decreased in 16 we can add back in 17 with the new fulfilling the vacant positions, and reducing some of the one-time charges that we had to reduce in 16. So bottom line, we do have a balanced proposed budget revision that would include the market adjustments, and based on our plans that we put place in April of last year. So we're asking for your approval of going ahead with the public safety market adjustment, and then the others. Hopefully we'll have, the revision soon. Sorry, we plan on having the revision finished soon, and you will be able to approve all the other adjustments at that time as well. Any questions?
What's the, are we gonna be able to do the revisions by next month? Is that,
Yes, sir.
okay.
we got most of all the information in last week, and we should be able to finalize it. We're hoping this week to be able to finalize it and get it to you by the end of the month.
Will these adjustments take effect immediately upon approval?
We're asking for them to be effective today, which is March 7th. That is the beginning of a pay period.
Okay.
Well, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you know, everybody that hears me speak, safety's number one. And we've got to provide police protection and fire protection. That's key. If we don't do that, there's nothing more important. We got to pay these people a rate that we can keep them and hire, you know, additional, so.
That's right, yeah.
We got you.
I agree.
Just got
Yeah.
you.
All right, excellent work.
We need a motion on that?
Yes, sir. You tell them what you just saw, because they don't know. Go ahead, Lois. The hourly adjustments.
The hourly adjustments, I did initially, but I will again. The increased starting pay for officers and firefighters is going to $16 per hour. The starting pay for sergeants is going to $17 per hour. And the increased starting pay for lieutenants is going to $19 per hour.
And the clerical help goes to 1202.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And the clerical help goes to 1202. Mhm.
And all we need from city council is a motion and an approval to implement this effective today.
Also
Oh.
move.
I second.
Great. All right, we got a motion, we got a second. Any other discussion? I see none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That is a unanimous decision.
That's it.
That is it. Excellent.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Where's Tim Lee? Where's she gonna move in the building?
Man, we